Hey everyone, today is April 2nd, and I'm going to help you with today's science assignment. When you log on to Google Classroom, you're going to see the directions for day 14. This is a text reading and it's only through Google Classroom. So you need to read the following article and answer the questions. You need to make a Google Doc and actually copy and paste the questions that you're going to see in this second scan here in a moment. Make sure that all answers are restated and you answer them completely. Submit when you are finished. So I'm going to read the questions with you first. That's the second link right here. Then I will read the text with you. But again, guys, you need to copy and paste these questions into a Google Doc yourself before you even do anything else. So that's my first suggestion to you. Now, this is a text-based evidence assignment, so it's really important that you are totally, completely always going back to the text to search for your answers. So the directions say, answer these questions after, well, we're going to do it before you read the passage, and remember to begin your answer by restating part of the question. Use direct evidence from the text and explain your thinking. Very similar to what we do in language arts all the time. We restate the question and we make sure that when we answer the question, we give it that direct evidence. All right, so these are questions. You have 5 key ideas and details questions. So these are really, truly coming directly from the text. Number 1, according to the first paragraph of the text, how are rocks different from one another? In this case, especially when we're talking about the 3 different types, how are they different from each other? Number 2, explain how an igneous rock is formed. We have been doing this all week, so I'm hoping that this is more of a review for you guys. Same with this one, and number 4 too. Number 3 says, explain how a sedimentary rock is formed. And number 4, explain how a metamorphic rock is formed. So in the text, you need to find all 3 of those ways that these rocks are formed. And then number 5, list the different steps of the rock cycle. There's going to be a picture even of this, a diagram, I should say. So definitely even use that one to help you. All right, numbers 6 and 7 are all about the craft and structure of this text. And really, what we're saying here is definitions of key terms. And just like we did in Wednesday's lesson for our text in language arts, you need to identify the type of structure that this text is in. So, number 6, explain the meaning of the term sediment, which you see that in this word, sedimentary. And for number 7, how is the passage organized? So the first part of your answer needs to be this passage is organized in, and then you need to tell us chronological, cause and effect, comparison, contrast, description, or problem and solution. Now that's the first part. But then you also need to use evidence from the text to explain your answer. Guys, we did this when we were looking at the skill lesson. You need to provide evidence. So if you think it is chronological or sequence, give us some key transition words and time words that help you identify that it's chronological. If it's cause and effect, look for keywords like because, in, um, because of this. Those are some keywords. If you're comparing and contrasting, you're noticing what is the same and what is different. Description is when there's a lot of vivid descriptions and adjectives. And for problem and solution, it's just going to be giving the problem and then how it was solved. All right. For number 8, what is the key idea that the author wants readers to understand from this text? Use evidence from the text to support your reasoning. This one, you definitely want to make sure that you really try to follow a race response here. So you want to make sure that you restate and answer the question. You then want to cite your evidence and to explain and support your reasoning. This one, you need a race response. So make sure that if you're following along with me, you can even write some notes right now to help you remember that. All right. I will also write some keywords um, uh, and some extra comments as well on the assignment later on too. All right, so now that we have done that, I'm going to start reading the text with you. Again, you can definitely open up the text, open up the questions, open up your Google Doc as I am doing this, and you can follow along. If you have a printer at home, you can even print this and highlight it as you go along with me. I'm totally fine with any of those options. So we're going to get started on that. All right, rocks and minerals passage, types of rocks. Rocks may not seem very special. You might think they all look alike, brown or gray and hard. Aren't they all the same? Wrong. Rocks are made in different ways, have different colors and patterns, and have different names. That's right. Rocks actually have names. There are three main types of rocks: igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. Guys, if you need to, you can even use some of this paragraph to answer number one. All right, let's go back. Most rocks start out as igneous rocks. Igneous rocks start off as liquids. It's hard to think that hard rocks could ever be liquids, but it's true. Igneous rocks start out at Earth's crust and eventually make their way up to Earth's surface. Volcanic eruptions can happen and pour magma out. When magma comes above the ground, it becomes lava. When the lava cools off, it hardens and turns into igneous rock. Igneous rock usually has small, glassy crystals filled with minerals. Other rocks have many layers and feel rough, but not igneous rocks. They don't have layers and are very smooth. If the counter in your kitchen is made of granite, then you have an igneous rock countertop. Other examples of igneous rock are basalt and obsidian. All right, so that is definitely your answer for number 2. You found out how they are formed in paragraph 2. If you live near the coast, you probably see a lot of sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rocks are formed when sediment, here's that word, sediment. So if you're looking for the answer to number 6, here we go. Sedimentary rocks are formed when sediment is packed together for many years. Sediment is a fancy word for dirt, rocks, and other materials, like shells or mud. Sediment usually collects at the bottom of water, like in a lake or in the ocean. Over many years, sediments press together very tightly to make rocks. Sedimentary rocks are interesting because they contain pieces of many different things, like animal shells or plant skeletons. Sedimentary rocks are usually softer and more crumbly than other types of rocks. If you touch a sedimentary rock, it will probably feel grainy like sand. Two examples of sedimentary rocks are limestone and sandstone. All right, so your answer for number 3 is right in paragraph 3. And also number 6. Metamorphic rocks are made out of igneous and sedimentary rocks. When heat and pressure is added to igneous and sedimentary rocks, a metamorphic rock is made. For example, if limestone is heated under pressure, it turns into marble. Marble is a metamorphic rock. Like igneous rocks, metamorphic rocks are usually smooth and sometimes glassy. Slate, I think this is pronounced schist, and quartzite are metamorphic rocks. So, metamorphic really is another word for change. So, these two types of rocks change into a metamorphic rock. All right, so now you have the answers you should for numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, and number 6 so far. You've probably heard of the water cycle, but did you know that there is a rock cycle too? The rock cycle is the process of changing rocks over millions of years. As you learned earlier, most rocks start out as igneous rocks. Magma comes out from the Earth's crust to become lava. It then cools and hardens. The hard lava makes igneous rocks. Over time, igneous rocks are weathered or broken down by water and wind. They break into little pieces called sediments. Again, there is that word, sediments. These happen. These sediments push together over time to make new rocks called sedimentary rocks. Two things can happen to sedimentary rocks. They are either broken down into new sediments to make new sedimentary rock, or they are heated under pressure and pressed deep into earth to make metamorphic rocks. Like sedimentary rocks, two things can happen to metamorphic rocks. Metamorphic rocks are either broken down into sedimentary rock again, or they are melted into magma if they are pushed deep enough into earth. What happens to the magma after that? The rock cycle starts all over again when a volcano erupts and igneous rock is formed. And just so you can get an idea of what that looks like, here is the rock cycle. So if you even start with the igneous, the extrusive kinds of rocks, the outside rocks, a lot of times they're going to start because of that eruption up here. And eventually, over time, they break down because of weathering. And as they are transported farther and farther down and out, they eventually go down and into the ground and become sedimentary rock. And as sedimentary rock gets pushed down further and further because of pressure and heat from down below the Earth's surface, they then become metamorphic rock. And if they melt enough, but then rise up, they cool and they crystallize. And then they can become more of the igneous rocks that are still within the ground. And then if they get pushed up again and into that volcano again type of situation, and they go right through the whole cycle again. So, have you changed your mind about rocks after learning a little more about them? Rocks are not as simple as you might have thought they were. Rocks come in all shapes, sizes, colors, and patterns. They even have names. The next time you see a rock, see if you can figure out what type it is. Now, in terms of how the passage is organized, you can definitely say, I would say at least a few of these could be an answer, but whichever one you choose, you need to make sure that you find evidence. So if you choose description, try to find some examples where you hear a lot about how a rock looks, or a lot of description about the different types of um, rock parts of the cycle. If you pick chronological, then pick where it's talking about a sequence. So if you're talking about the rock cycle, you could show examples that show a really good way of how that rock cycle is sequenced. So depending on which one you choose, you just need to make sure that you give evidence and explain your answer. So number 7 and number 8 are race response types of questions. That way, you then know you need at least 3 to 4 sentences per question. I hope that that helps you. Again, in terms of what is the key idea, we're looking for the main idea here. What's the overall central idea that we're looking for? My suggestion, just to give you a little hint, look at your first paragraph and then look at your last paragraph. That may give you a short hint what this whole passage is about. Look at your title, even. That should help you out to really give you an idea of what the main idea of this text is. I will definitely write some helpful hints as well in the comments section for you, but again, I would absolutely watch this video as you're working along with me. You can pause every so often to write your answers. I mean, not write your answers, sorry. Type your answers in as you go. And again, if you're not sure, you can message me or Mrs. Bartling on GoGuardian. We're usually the first class is 9 o'clock to 9:30, and then we also have office hours, 1 to 3:15. So if we don't answer you during those other class times, it's because we're working with others, during those times of the classes. All right, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Make sure that when you are done, you submit your Google Doc so that we can actually see it. I'll see you back here tomorrow.